Hello and welcome to the Trust Factor Podcast, the only podcast that guarantees your success when you implement its divine age-old teachings. Thank you all for joining. While the world falls apart, at least it seems like it's falling apart out there. It doesn't matter where you turn these days. Everything is upside down. People have lost their minds, and it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you're going. Today, everything is a complete and utter mess. It seems like chaos in the world of social media, in the world of legacy media, in the world of politics, countries around the world, leadership going berserk. It's unbelievable the amount of corruption that's being exposed. So much mayhem going on in the world that it's nice to know you've got a place like this to come to and tune out all of the noise and remember what's important and what's real. Because as we've said many times, what we see out there is simply not real. This world is called Olam HaSheker, a world of lies, Alma de Shikra, as it says in Aramaic in the Gemara. God created it this way. Why? Because we have an obligation to uncover the truth, to expose the lies, and show everybody what we should really be working towards, which is exactly what we're doing in this podcast. So even though it's only 10, 12 minutes a day, hopefully later on as we go and as we grow, they'll get longer and there'll be more content to be able to combat the craziness of this world. Right now we're talking about the power of prayer, which makes sense because we just finished saying that this whole concept of faith, how does one build their faith in their relationship with their Creator? And we just finished saying that it's through having a dialogue, whether it's a structured dialogue that comes from a book that was created by our sages, or a personal dialogue that comes from your head and your heart, or the best case scenario, a combination of the two, because we've said the structured prayer created by our sages who had what's called siyata deshmaya, which means that they had help from above. They were directly connected to that spiritual realm. They composed those prayers and that structure. So take that structure, incorporate it into your life, but make sure that strewn throughout there in the certain places where you're supposed to insert your words and your feelings, that you do that very thing. So now we're going to talk about what is this power? What's it all for? He says that if you internalize this golden rule, what's the golden rule? With true emuna, with true faith in their Creator, any person, any individual, by means of a simple personal prayer and dialogue with their Creator, can transcend any natural limitation and work wonders. He would see how all his requests would be fulfilled. Just as the Creator can do anything, those who turn to Him can also do anything. He is supernatural. He operates, his essence is in another realm, a realm of infinite abilities, infinite wealth, infinite knowledge, infinite control, infinite love. That's his essence. He transcends the physical. He is far beyond the physical limitations of this world. So if you want to be able to tap into his abilities, think about this. You can. You can tap into the supernatural by having a relationship with him, by having a dialogue with him, by first of all thanking him for the amazing life he's given you and for the opportunities, and then secondly, for requesting from him, acknowledging that he runs the show, acknowledging that he has the power to give you all of these things. When you've done that, you've effectively tapped in to his supernatural powers, and now he can use those. Remember what we've said before. We said a verse, Aser etzoncha kirtzoni, kedei she'aser etzoni kirtzoncha, which means God says to us, make your will my will, so that I will make my will your will, which is exactly what we're talking about over here. If you want to ride his supernatural coattails, if you want to hitch your wagon to the Creator of the universe who controls everything that was, is, or will be, that is not limited in his abilities and can change the course of nature for your benefit, it's no problem. How do you do it? Simple. If you want him to make your will his will, which is what we just said, then you should just do the things that he wants you to do. Make your will his will. What is that? What does that mean? That's the golden question. That's the one that everybody should be asking. If you just heard what I told you, That should be a burning question on the tip of your tongue right now. Jesse, how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I make his will my will? Because I certainly want my will to be his will. And the answer is a simple but drawn out one. But simply put, do the mitzvahs. Learn from the Torah. The Torah was a manual for us that was given to us in order to excel and conquer this life. And it was given to us by he who created this life, this existence. He understood that just as everything on planet Earth comes with a manual, it doesn't matter if it's a $20 toaster oven, comes with a manual, or the perfection of a human body, the mind, the brain, with its 80 billion neural connections, with the 300 plus trillion cells, microscopic cells in a human body, rushing through it every single day, or the hundreds of kilometers of digestive systems and intestinal networks that we have in every single one of us. He who created all of that is ready and waiting for you to connect to him and to utilize his abilities. But in order to do that, read and learn from his manual and start to implement the things that he tells you to do. Just like the beginning of this podcast says, you want to see real change? You want to see greatness and success in this lifetime? Do what he tells you to do, because it's all for your benefit. That's the sweetest part. The sweetest part is that we don't have a self-serving God. He can't be self-serving by definition because he's God. He is already complete. There is nothing that he lacks. And therefore, nothing that we can do in this existence, in this lifetime, or any lifetimes, will add or detract from him. He is already complete. So by definition, he cannot be self-serving. There's nothing to serve. He has it all. His entire existence is just to give, and ours is to receive. But in order to do that, you have to follow the rules, policies, and procedures, protocols. You have to do these things. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants. You can't just go willy-nilly with whatever's happening in the world and however you feel today, and all the other details fly out the window. When you feel like it, when you don't feel like it, if you feel like it. Bottom line, it's a simple process. And the sweetest part of this process is that it's all designed for your benefit. In other words, he tells you to do his will, but that will doesn't benefit him. It benefits you. And I've used this analogy before. A parent says to a child, eat your veggies. Don't just eat the meat. Eat your veggies. And the child thinks to themselves, I don't like the veggies, so I don't want to eat them. And the parent begs and pleads, even to the point where the parent says, I will commit to buying you X, Y, or Z toy, whatever it is that you wanted from me, I will buy it for you if you only eat your vegetables. Who's that child eating vegetables for? The parent? Obviously not. The child is eating the vegetables for their own good health. And the parent loves that child so much that they are willing to bribe that child with more goodness if they just do the goodness that's good for them. Do you understand? Good upon good upon good. It's all compounded goodness. That's the creator that we're talking about over here, my friends. I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to hitch their wagon, why somebody wouldn't want to connect to that power. Now, the only logical reason is that we live in a world that has taken him out of the equation, that tries to remove him from reality. They've taken him out of schools, they've taken him out of institutions, government buildings, they've taken him out of everyday life. And the only time they bring him back into your life is when you've hit rock bottom. Wrong. That's not how it works, my friends. You're listening to a corrupt system. If you're following that system, know that all of the challenges that you face in this lifetime, the anxiety, the fear, the anger, the hatred, the jealousy, all these different emotions when you go to work and you can't see other people succeeding and you're always thinking about yourself. You're always worried. Are you going to be able to pay the bills? Are you going to be able to make rent? Are you going to be able to pay the mortgage? Are you going to be able to do all these things? If you're worried, if you're constantly picking fights, or you're constantly on the defense, or you're constantly anxious and depressed, it's all because you're following a corrupt system, a system that is self-serving. The people who run the system that we are living in are human beings. They are made of flesh and blood, and therefore they have an evil inclination. And the higher they are on that totem pole of life, the bigger their evil inclination is. And it's all self-serving. You've seen that We started this podcast today talking about the craziness in the world. Do you know why it's crazy? Because it's self-serving. If it wasn't self-serving, it wouldn't be crazy. If it was the opposite, if we were all trying to do for each other, if we were all trying to be godlike, this world would be an absolute pleasure, a dream. We wouldn't have news outlets. We wouldn't have social media. It wouldn't exist because 98% of the junk that is in this world, getting your clicks, getting your likes, destroying your family, destroying the moral fabric of your being, is all the 98% of the garbage posts that people are putting online that are designed to draw your attention away because they know what your evil inclination likes. They know what men want to look at. They know what women want to look at. They know what children get addicted to in terms of seeing and learning. They know this. These algorithms have been around for decades and they've been learning what we like and what we don't like. And they've created a system that locks you in. That's why it's called the internet. The net is what grabs the fish and makes sure it doesn't get out. That's why it's called the World Wide Web. What's a web? A spider web. That's how it catches its prey. Once you're in the web, you're done. You're toast. You can't get out of it, my friends. Remember, there's no such thing as coincidence. You think that it's called the internet or the World Wide Web by coincidence? Wrong. It is perfectly named by the creator of the world that even those who named it have no idea why they chose those names. Have an amazing day. Thank you for spending time with us on the Trust Factor podcast. If you've heard something today that moved you, save this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming conversations that challenge, empower, and uplift. And if you're on social media, connect with us. Leave your thoughts. Drop a quote that resonated with you. Hashtag the Trust Factor podcast. Until next time, keep growing in your trust and keep living with purpose. I'm Jesse Revivo, and this has been the Trust Factor podcast. Thanks for listening.